Real Hustle podcast, hosted by Chris Kiblin. Real hustle, real people, real results.
What's up, Kevin? How are you?
Living the dream.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate you coming out.
Man, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, Chris.
So we've known each other for a little while now.
Yeah, close to 10 years, I think. The last one I met you in my office back in the day.
I don't know if it was that long, but it was
close.
It was close.
8-ish, maybe.
Probably 8-ish. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
So, and I've always been kind of inspired about what you've done. And I was like, I'm sitting there, I'm looking like, all right, Kevin would be a great guest to have on our show just because of all your involvement in the community, all the stuff that you do, the stuff you do with the veterans, your business, how much that helps people. So I was like, you're a perfect example of real hustle. Really you are. And so why don't you let's kind of start from maybe the beginning. What got you into, did you start out being like a heat and air person working on them, or how did this all start?
Yeah, I love to share, pretty cool. So I got out of the Army, and when I got out of the Army, I'm from Massachusetts, and I met a woman in the military, and she lived in Atlanta. So I went to Atlanta for 6 months, and that town was just too crazy for me. I'm like, I can't do this one,
Okay.
So I had family over here down in Inglewood, and I suggested that we come on down and take a look at it. And she fell in love with Sarasota.
Okay.
So we said, let's make it happen. So, 30 days later, we left Atlanta coming down here. And my very first job was in an air conditioning company in their warehouse because I had warehousing experience before.
Okay.
So that kind of started it. I got to know what the parts were and things of that nature. After a little while, I left there and worked for the apartment complex, which we lived at.
Okay.
And it was really convenient. We had 3 kids and 1 car. So it's like I was able to get up out of bed and not be at work. So it was kind of perfect. And that's I really started learning air conditioning. And then after that, I got a job at an air conditioning company about 1.5 years later, and just really realized that it was a good business to be in. We were in Florida, for crying out loud, right?
Right. Everybody needs air conditioning.
Yeah.
I tell you what, there's been nights I think I actually had to call you one night. And I was like, we've not had air conditioning.
Yeah.
And it's god awful. It's up there with light. As far as inventions out there. Because being here in Florida, it's you just have to have it.
It's a necessity, right?
It's a necessity. What's crazy is as long as I lived here, I've never turned on my heat. Not once.
Wow, good.
I've never, but that air conditioning, almost every day of the year.
Yeah.
I don't think there's too many days I turn it off.
It's hard to turn it off, really,
Yeah. So it's like, and that's, so you got in, so you were doing it. Now, were you working on air conditioning? Is it you started with that, really getting to know them and fixing them and that kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly. When I was in the apartment complex, when I started really learning the basics of air conditioning, I found out that when I went into somebody's house that was hot, and I fixed their air conditioner, they were so appreciative of it. And I really like helping people because I was a medic in the Army, and helping people was kind of like in my soul, right?
That's right. I remember, not to cut you off, I remember you telling me you were a medic because I worked in a 92nd hospital unit in the Army, and I think we talked about that.
Yeah, so helping people was really cool. I just got a joy out of it. And obviously, I was looking to make a career. I had a wife and 3 kids at home, right? I'm like, I got to figure something out. I got to make this thing happen, right? So I was started with the maintenance department. I did some installs, and I'm making like $300 a week, killing myself. I'm like, man, this is. But one interesting day was they used to put our checks in the slots with your name on it, and I took the check out, the envelope out of the slot with my name on it, opened it. And it was a salesman's check, and it was like $1,500 for the week. I'm like, holy crap, this is what they're making? Well, that changed my life that day.
Oh, wow.
I was like, okay, I have to figure out how I'm going to get from $300 a week to $1,500 a week. And I just became a sponge. I asked questions, learned everything I could, and I've been doing that, through this process. So, yeah.
So then, you were doing that, when did you decide to open, was Veterinaire the first business, or did you start something first and then come into Veterinaire, or?
Yeah, I worked for other companies for 10 years.
Okay.
2 different companies, I think, for 10 years. And then after that 10-year period, I decided to open up my own company with another guy. That company's still in business today, but unfortunately that didn't end in a good way.
Okay.
But then in 2012, I started Veteran Air Conditioning on my own. I have a silent investor, and he's been great for me as well. So it's just really helped. And I really wanted to change things this time. I wanted to make sure that the community knew I was there for the right reasons,
Right.
Because I had seen people get ripped off so many times. I'm like, this isn't cool. I said, let's just do it the right way, And
Like going out and when it's a little part that can be fixed and they replace the whole unit.
yeah, exactly.
So-
that was happening way too much,
Right.
And I was just like, I'm going to do this differently. This is not the way that I'm going to run my business, And that's been a real blessing. It was hard for the first couple of years to make money because you weren't lying,
it's any
cheating, and stealing
business,
to
right?
make
It's any
money,
business,
right? Yeah.
yeah.
So if it was a $200 repair, it was a $200 repair. But what we were doing was building momentum in the community to be the air conditioning company that you could trust.
Right.
And that has proven to be the best decision that I have ever made.
That's all. So did it just start out with you, or did you have a couple guys with you? How did that work?
It was my wife and I.
Okay.
She worked with me the first 2.5 years in the business.
Just the two of you?
No. Then right away I had like I had a service tech and 2 installers.
Okay.
And that's how we started the business in 2012.
Wow.
And right now we're nearly 100 employees and close to 70 trucks on the road right now.
Because I know you've grown quite big,
Yeah.
and I know you've got quite a massive group there. So that's the cool part that I see, like, of what you've built over the years and what I've watched you grow. So where did the name come from? Because that's always been kind of my curiosity. How did you come up with the Veterinaire?
Well, it's like I was talking to my wife about it too. Like, what's going to make us different? What's going to make somebody want to call us, right? What have I done in my life that I could stake claim in, that I've done something good, right, for the community, for our country? And we kept going back to Patriot Air or Veteran Air, and it just seemed the right thing to do, and it just made sense. Being in the Army, it was like I want to send the message that we're the right people to call.
Right.
So many people have veterans in their families or have been veterans themselves, and it's a good feel, right? And
Absolutely.
And I just want to make the best of that,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, not only that, I mean, it's, being a veteran myself, and it's like, I do everything I can to help the veteran community. I sit on a board for a veteran community, and I do some other stuff in our area for veterans. But it's, it's a shame because I don't think we do enough for them at all. But it's, it's a start, like, where I know you do a lot too.
Yeah.
And so, but, I do, like, because I was interested. I was wondering how, I kind of figure what it was, and with your background, that's why you came up with the name. But I love the name, and now, do you ever run into any issues where people think you only service veterans?
Yeah, actually, it was called. I was asked that before, and I was also asked if we were at an airline before because I seen Veteran Air. Oh, you're an airline. I'm like, well, no, I'm not like that, but Yeah.
Yeah, so I was wondering. It was like some people were like, well, do you just help veterans? And so and then I've had people ask, like, cause I had a couple people like I talked to you about you and Veterinaire, and they're like, well, do they just hire veterans? So, and I know you have other people who are not veterans.
Oh,
right?
yeah. In this world
Yeah.
that we're in today, I could never have 100 veterans employed, right?
Right.
So, but we do our best. We will hire a vet if he's got a good driving record and no criminal history. Obviously, we're putting people in vehicles and homes and things of that nature.
Right.
So I have to be careful who I put in people's homes. But yeah, if there's a veteran with the right credentials, I want to put him on board. I want to teach him.
Right.
We've taught veterans to come in because we have quite a training program too, that if you're the right person, we'll put you in a truck for 3 months with a senior tech. And after those 3 months, you're off and running. You're not perfect by no
Right.
means because a real good seasoned tech has been in the industry like 10 years.
Right.
Okay.
Well, even if you've been in the business 10 years, things are always changing.
Yeah.
New air conditionings are changing, new air conditioners coming out, new products coming out.
Exactly. And there's a lot. There's residential, and then if you talk about commercial, it's a whole other ballgame.
Yeah.
That opens up your eyes like, wow.
I've seen some. I think I saw a couple of your things that you posted on Facebook, and there was actually a big crane with a big air conditioning. You're loading
Yeah.
it up onto the top of a building.
Yeah.
that thing is monstrous.
Yeah, those are something I've always wanted to do a job with a helicopter, but I haven't done that yet. So
that would be pretty cool. So you just bring it in on a helicopter and drop it?
Yeah, I came close, but I didn't actually get that one. But yeah, that would be cool.
That'd be pretty interesting.
We actually bid a job at NASA one time because NASA has those rocket launcher places, and they were disassembling one, and they have a lot of refrigerant in those, and we bid that to get it, but we didn't get that. I thought that'd be kind of cool too.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
So now, do you guys how far do you cover? Because I know you're in the Sarasota market. Do you go all the way down to Naples? Do you go out there? How far do you go out?
It's kind of a little bit different with residential and commercial.
Okay.
So residentially, Sarasota, Manatee County, South Hillsborough, and South Pinellas.
Okay.
Commercially, if it's the right job, I've been as far as DeLand doing some jobs for like PetSmart and things of that nature. We have some active clients down in Port Charlotte commercially, but we don't hit that part residentially. So
okay.
Yeah.
Now, is that ever going to be a goal of yours, or are you ever going to try to grow that big, or you like it where it's at now?
We're heading north a little bit right now, so we're spending a little bit more time and effort into Hillsborough County right now. So, but there was so much market share to take right here. It was why put the guys in the truck for an hour just to go there, right?
Right.
So we have just been taking so much market share in the Sarasota Manatee area over the years, but it's getting to the point, the size that we're getting to continue to grow, we got to start spreading out a little bit more. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you have 100 employees, and how many of those are service techs? Is that?
I would say approximately 75 of them are service techs, maintenance techs, installers, and the rest is support staff, management, and office staff, CRSs and things of that nature, permitting department, so warranty department, accounting department.
You got all kinds of different ones.
Yeah.
So what's a normal day look like for you then?
Fortunately, I have some great management, and I work from home most of the time now.
Okay.
So I do about 30 hours a week, 30 to 35 hours a week. Basically, I'm watching the finances. I have some large accounts that, still want to hear my name, hear me talk, right?
Right.
Want to call me. It's communicating a little bit, but just kind of the overseeing things right now. Like I'll make sure that I'll look at some job costs and see if there's some issues with it that I need to bring to attention and kind of clean up. So just a higher level right now. So, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So obviously you run a pretty big operation. Tell us because like one of the things I always like to talk about, obviously you've grown something pretty massive here. And so what were your struggles and how did you overcome them? So, I'm sure it wasn't easy growing to the level you've gotten.
Right. Struggles. I got into commercial new construction, which was a struggle. Basically, I had some people helping me in that department, estimating and managing those. That kind of failed me. I built I didn't build it, but I was part of building a 16-story condominium in downtown Tampa. And that was a big mistake. I probably lost $500,000 in that job. Yeah, new construction from the ground up, about 100 air conditioners in it. We did the crane, we did the water towers on the roof and all the black water piping and stuff. And I thought I had a guy that was going to manage that for me. He ended up failing, and I ended up having to take that over, which being an owner of the company and managing a large job like that. And we had two jobs similar to those, just one was a high-rise, one was not. And I had to finish managing those. So I would say to anybody in the air conditioning business, stay out of commercial new construction, So
that's a different monster probably,
yeah,
right?
It's a monster, man. I swear it's I'll never do that one again. So stay out of new construction. Yeah.
Yeah, so the bread and butter is residential, I would assume, maybe some commercial.
Yeah, commercial's great. Residential's great. You're doing your service work, your maintenance work, and you're doing change outs. Residential's great because you kind of get paid the day you do the job.
Right.
Commercially is, it's usually 30-day billing, but we have some really great relationship with some commercial people in the area. So I don't mind that stuff at all. So, but it's just those projects that go on for months and months and the details, they say the devil's in the details.
Right.
So,
especially. Well, the thing is like that kind of stuff has to be perfect, right? And so, your air conditioning, or if you're doing a high rise, that's I'm sure it's time consuming.
Yeah.
And
you got other trades in your way.
Yeah.
If the general contractor is not organized, that's causes a lot of problems. So
A lot of time and resources and that kind of thing.
making sure people aren't on the job drinking beer, and making sure they're there. I had to put GPS on these people's phones to make sure that they were there. And then I've even had situations where the guy would go to work, he'd leave his phone and then take off.
Oh my God.
And so you catch it like, hey, where's so and so? I don't know. You're looking for him on the job site. He's gone, but his phone's at the shop. At the job site. So,
wow.
And human beings will find a way to, kind of stick you a little bit.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So and I know with you being a veteran and what you do with Veteran Air and how you've grown that business, but you also give back a lot.
Yeah.
I've seen you give back a lot. Tell us a little bit about that.
First of all, every day we give back to veterans because we give veteran discounts.
Okay.
The veterans that call us, they get the best discounts of anybody. All right, so we treat them the best. The other way that we give back to everybody in the community is that we're honest with you every day, every service call. Again, you could do some Google reviews and see the things that we've done. Next door, it's just proof that we're doing the right thing by everybody every day, and that's what makes me feel so proud of what we built.
You actually sent me one. That was a review. Do you remember it?
Yeah.
You want to tell us a little bit about that one?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. This lady didn't have any money, apparently pretty broke, and she was so nervous, I guess, about calling us. And the repair was $300. And that's all she had was $150. And so my technician called my manager and said, "Hey, what do you want me to do? Just take the $150 and give us a good Google review." So that also tells the community, hey, our hearts are in the right spot.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I think as a community we do things and we gotta hey, it's not all about the money. We're here. We are a profit business, right? We got to make money or we can't stay in business. But it's not always about the money. Sometimes we have to do the right thing, right?
Yeah. One of the coolest things I've ever done, Chris, was there's this family that needed an air conditioning system, actually two of them, and their roof was leaking, their drywall was moldy and everything, and I was able to donate 2 air conditioning systems to these people. No charge. I had some help though. Goodwill Veteran Services, Operation Warrior Support, SRQ Vets got involved a little bit and donated to help put these air conditioners in for these people at no charge, right? And which was really cool. But to top it off, I'm not a roofer, but I found a roofer that would help put the roof on. Wow. And so they said, "Do you have any labor to help us?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll go help you." So me and 4 guys went up on the roof and helped tear off for 2 days the roof to help the roofer save on labor to get these people a new roof. So
wow.
It was really cool to go through that process. And we've done that probably 10, 20 times, something of that nature. Just helping out a vet in need is so cool to donate an air conditioning system. But also the help with the veteran community allows me to do it more because we can only give away so much, right?
Right. You know what I mean? You got to make sure you're not giving away everything.
Exactly.
Right. So you got to be careful.
Yeah. So joining with other veteran organizations to pitch in and help out too, and you get more resources, you can help out more people. So that's been a blessing. So
now, are you involved in SRQ Vets, or are you involved in some other veteran organizations as well?
SRQ Vets, you could say I'm involved a bit, okay. Not as much as I used to be in the fact. Since COVID came, I really kind of lost being out there, and I'm working from home a little bit more. I also have a house in North Carolina. I go there every 2 weeks out of the month, and my wife and I, it's our happy place up there, right? I work from home up there as well. But yeah, if I still donate to SRQ Vets, I'm still involved with Goodwill Veteran Services. We work together on some projects. It's less than what it used to be, but my heart's still there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as far as you guys growing and going, so, we talked about where you wanted to go. Any other advice that you'd want to give? So let's say somebody, because, one of the things, the big things that I've had these conversations with people as well, is that we're losing out on people who want to do manual labor, right?
Yes.
Trade schools, does that affect you? Is that hurting your business?
It does. Like my management, when we interview people at our office, my managers almost talk you out of the job, right? They're like, are you sure you're ready for this? This is probably 55, 60 hours a week, especially in the summertime. Are you ready for this? And this, you're going to be in the attic. You're going to do this. And I've even went to some MTI, right? Manatee Technical Institute,
yeah.
Right? I've went up there. I'm on their advisory board there for the air conditioning. And they asked me to go talk to the students up there. And they say, tell them to dig down dirty truth about it. You're going to be in the attic. You're going to be dirty. You're going to be sweating. And although you tell them about it, they'll come to work and they're like, no, I don't really want to work this many hours. And they leave. But what we're trying to do is hire so many technicians that we're trying to have a really good life work balance so that today's techs are not like me in the past, 70 hours a week,
Right.
It's like, okay, let's make this thing happen. But it's a different world today for sure.
It is. It's definitely, they want to work 40 hours, 45 hours or whatever it is. And, it's definitely different than when I was,
Sure.
I don't know, maybe that's just the military in us.
Could be.
So, it's definitely, because I know that's the biggest thing is the trade school is, and it's sad because if you look at the statistics, most kids that do go through a trade school make more than most college kids.
I was in a trade school myself. I never went to high school, regular high trade.
Yeah, so it's like, so most of the people that went through this, they had no student, like if you went to college, you got student debt, you got, all this stuff, and my wife, she was a teacher, she was a school teacher for a while, and took on all this student debt to really make no money.
Yeah.
It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't like you made a lot of money, but you had to get your master's degree, and, but if, the thing is I think sometimes people, they look at it and they're like, well, I don't want to get in the attic, or I don't want to work on, I went in the military and I worked on cars. I was a mechanic.
Yeah. I was a medic. I spent my fair share in the motor pool for sure.
So, that was my thing. That's what I went.
Okay.
I grew up working on cars.
Yeah.
And so, and I was like, well, I already know about cars. I'll just go work on bigger trucks. That's why I was like, I'll do something I already kind of know.
Yeah.
And so I changed alternators, starters, all that kind of stuff. But the thing was, it was hard work. It was labor, right? It was labor intensive. But I think so many people, they don't want to get dirty. They don't want to work out in the hot. And it's like, but it was good for me. It was good to learn how to work hard, and it was good to learn a craft like that. Like, nothing comes easy. But what they're not looking at is, okay, I could go do what you did, right? And I say, okay, Kevin started out working 70 hours a week, working on air conditionings. Now look at what he's built.
Yeah.
Now look what he's built. He has a 100-employee company. They're doing all kinds of stuff. He's going away. Like, he goes and works in North Carolina for 2 weeks. I think sometimes people don't look at the big picture. They only look at what's for now.
Sure. You got to be willing to put it in the work. And like the name of your show, Real Hustle. It's a real hustle. My wife, I don't think she saw me for months. Like April would come and I say, okay, sweetheart, I'll see you in September, right? You know what I mean?
Right, joking around, but you're serious.
But serious, a lot of the things that happened with my kids as they were growing up, I missed.
Yeah.
But the things that I'm able to do for them today are really a great benefit that I worked so hard for in the past. So, I'm 53 years old. I'm probably going to retire by the time I'm 58 years old. And I'm just in a beautiful place right now, So, yeah.
And that's great, because that's the thing. And that's really what I want people to see when I have them come on the show. And that's why I wanted to reach out to you. It's because, look, I did work my ass off. I did get to a certain point. I had to build this. But then I decided to take it to the next level. Then I said, you know what? Let's start our own place. We'll have a couple of techs. We built this. We grew this. And now, and I kept growing and learning more and more.
Yeah.
Because, that's where I wanted to get to the point is like, look, you can take what you're good at and move it into something else and grow it into something else. And I don't think enough people, they get comfortable.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing is like, and I look at America as a whole now, and I hate to say it, but 99% of the people are comfortable. They want to be comfortable. They don't want to go outside their box. They kind of want it, but they don't want to do the work for it, right? Yeah. And so I was like, this is a perfect way to show people, like, you know, you don't have conversations like this on a daily basis. We don't have conversations where like, okay, Kevin, tell me what you did, how you got there, and what kind of, you know, all the hard work, right? And so it shares that experience, and it'd be like, let's give some people some motivation to really figure out what we can do, because as they're sitting here watching this, and if they're in your business or the plumbing, because you have a plumbing company too, right?
Yes, sir. We just started plumbing in 21, yeah.
So, I mean, you got a plumbing company, and like, you know, you can look at it and go, okay, well, I've got a, you know, whatever my company is, if it's an air conditioning company, or even if I just start now as a service person.
Sure.
I can have that ambition to say, one day, okay, I can do that too. You know, I mean, like you, I mean, I barely graduated high school. I never went to college.
Yep.
I went right in the Army. All my friends went to college, and I'm like, because I was not good at school.
Yeah.
And I was just wasn't. And so all my friends went to college, and I'm sitting here, and they all went away. They went to like out of state schools or far away schools from where I was. I'm like, well, what am I going to do? I'm like, okay, well, most of my family went in the Army.
Yeah.
So I went in the Army.
That was kind of my plan too, as well. I stayed out of the. When I graduated high school, I stayed. I went to work right away. I mean, I've been working since I've been 13 years old.
Too.
That's all. My dad was an alcoholic, and my mom was on welfare with me and my sister. And if I wanted something, I learned really quick that I got to
work for it, right?
I got to go work for it.
That's what my parents. My parents would be like, I'd be like, yeah, I want something, right? They'd be like, okay, we'll go work for it. I was 11 years old when I started my first job.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so
it's like, you know, and I learned from a young age, if I wanted something, I had to work for it.
Exactly.
They weren't gonna buy it for me.
Nope. I bought everything. You know, very little has been given to me. My grandma has given me $2,500 to put down on my first house way back in the day, and that's about what I remember being given to me. So yeah,
it's not much. And the thing is like, you know, and that's the thing. Well, I think in a lot of ways, a lot of people who come through those hardships, they find ways, and then they're like, they look at it, because this is the way I look back at it, is I've been through some hardships. I went through a really bad hardship in 2014, and just basically lost everything.
Yeah, 2011 was a tough, 2012 was tough for me. Yeah, rebuilding.
And so I lost everything, and so like, and then I got in my head. I've been through this before. I've worked for a lot of things, and I've always worked hard. I was like, but now I got in the back of my head, it's like, I will never, ever live like that again.
Yeah.
And maybe that comes with being older. Maybe that comes with like age. I don't know. But after that, I was like, never again. I was like, I will never go down that. I don't care how much I have to work. I don't care what I have to do. I'm not going to be that person.
Yeah, I agree.
And so, you know, and you know, and I know like I think that's the cool thing about you is that, you know, you've had that, and you're building stuff for a lot of people and giving people a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, it's just a joy all the way around. I mean, business is difficult, right? You know, supply chain issues, gas prices these days, you know, and we're in the air conditioning business, crying out loud. When your air goes down, you know, people are on the phone like, hey, how quickly can you get out here?
Exactly.
Right? You know, so, you know, we are like a now business as much as we possibly can, and that puts a certain amount of stress on you as well. But, you know, trying to be the best air conditioning company out there is a constant daily tweaking and talking and working, and it's quite interesting. It's life consuming, but very much a benefit of where I am today for all of that kind of scenario. So
how does that go? Because I know there's a supply. I mean, I know that's probably affecting some of your business. You know, are you still having trouble getting parts? Are you still having trouble getting air conditioning and stuff like that?
So to give you an idea, like normally I would carry about $350,000 of inventory in my warehouse, but supply issues from last year, I've got $900,000 in inventory right now, just because I want to make sure I have it when I need to install it, right, for our customers. Because if we don't have air conditioning, not making no money, right?
Right.
So we went really heavy and, you know, bought that. It's probably come down a little bit now. I'm probably closer to about $800,000 now. But that's still a heavy load to carry, right?
Yeah.
Especially
when you're not making money off of it, it's just sitting there.
Yeah, exactly. It's a terrible place to have your money in the warehouse, right? So the other scenario, yes, parts are difficult to come by right now. So we're trying to do our best to keep everybody cooling. I had this one restaurant in town that they had coils that were leaking. Mind you, the unit's only 4 years old.
Oh, wow.
The air conditioners are out by the beach, right? Coils under warranty. Manufacturer says, we don't know when we can get you a coil. So what we're doing is just, luckily, this is a coil that we can patch. We've been patching the coil up every time there's a leak, and they spent nearly $6,000 on patching coils right now until we can actually get, a coil to take care of them. It's incoming now, so we should. But that's the pain that we go through and we pass on, and as long as the client is communicating with us, we're doing our best that we can,
right?
And just trying to keep them cooling, and it's costing the end user now more money to fix it when they shouldn't have to fix it, because the manufacturer should have new coils, but the manufacturers they don't have very much raw material, so what they're doing is putting what raw materials they have into making new air conditioners and not making parts for the old ones.
That's why I was just going to ask that. I was like, so is that like just a shipping? I mean, is it just like they can't get the materials? Is it coming from other countries or what?
Especially, you hear all about these chips and stuff for cars, the same thing. I'm just so happy. America needs to be independent, and we really need to make strides to do that for ourselves. Depending on these other countries is just, I've been yelling about that for 15 years. I buy American as much as I possibly can. If my kids, I tell them, don't you go buy a Hyundai. Don't you do it. You better buy a Chevy or a Ford, So
even those, though, I bet you still have some stuff in it.
Oh, for sure.
But it's not as much.
Exactly. We need, as Americans, we need to buy American as much as we can, and we need to be self-reliant on our own people. So.
Yeah, it's just it amazes me, because I'm like, okay, we're sitting here waiting on parts, chips, all this other stuff when we could do it here, and it doesn't make any sense.
Don't get me started on gas.
I know.
I've got 7 trucks running around. My gas is up like crazy.
I mean, and it probably diesel too, right?
I only have one diesel, and it's mine. So,
okay.
Oh no, actually, maybe 2 of my install trucks are diesel, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because diesel's even more than regular.
Exactly. Yeah,
it's nuts right now. Yeah. Well, at least we've seen a little bit of a decrease, but how long is that going to last? I
Correct.
mean, that's the question. Because just like what you're seeing, I see in the housing market, as far as me doing mortgages, is so much uncertainty out there right now. Gas prices are higher, inflation's higher. Who knows what's going on?
Russia, China.
Yep, all this stuff that's going on. So it's like, and I feel bad for these people, because like even for air conditioning or even for homes, right? Everything's more expensive now. Yeah. The food's more expensive. I mean, I remember going to go buy. This was like 6 months ago. I went to go buy spinach. It was $5. Now it's $8.
Wow.
And I'm like, $8 for spinach?
Wow.
I was like, so it's just, you're seeing such an increase. So the average American, how can they handle all this, right?
Yeah.
You got the gas prices up, you got all the food that's up, your bills are getting higher, and it's like, how they can only take so much.
Yeah.
And so it's like, all right, well, let's start being smarter about this. We're having, the supply issues throughout what's going on. And, you can't get the chips. The car industries, I was talking to a car dealership, an owner of a car dealership, and he told me, he's like, Chris, I usually have like 750 cars on my lot. I have like 200.
Wow.
He's like, because I can't get them.
Yeah, I'll give you a little story about car prices. I used to buy Chevy vans for $28,000. So I in 2021, I put an order in for early 2022 to get 7 Chevy vans at $28,000 a piece. Well, they couldn't fulfill that order. So about a month ago or so, they said, hey, good news, one of the vans are coming in, but it's now $46,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, whoa. So, yeah,
It's crazy. I know I was talking to another guy. He was buying a higher end car, and they did the same thing to him. It's like he ordered it, and he was like, and they came back, and they're like, yeah, by the way, it's like another $50,000 now. And he's like, what? He's like, that's not what we signed for.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you're going to give it to me at that price. They're like, no. And they lost a major customer.
Yeah.
And they're like, and he told me, he's like, all right, we won't use you anymore. And so it's like, we don't want the car.
Yeah.
So we'll go somewhere else.
It's amazing the things that are happening.
It's kind of crazy. crazy. So talk to me a little bit about the plumbing then. So that just started?
It started last year. We've had our ups and downs with the plumbing, getting the right people.
Why plumbing?
It's natural. We're already in the house kind of scenario, right?
Okay.
So you see other companies doing, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical.
Right.
So plumbing just seemed the right one. I have a general manager too that's really knowledgeable about plumbing as well. So it worked out well. It goes hand in hand, and the evolution. You got to keep moving, right?
Keep right.
So,
moving, growing. Doing the next thing.
Exactly. Getting market share in the area, another source of revenue kind of scenario. So we're kind of starting out small. We're not really doing too much commercial stuff. It's just mostly residential things right now. And we were up to 5 plumbers, and we get down to 3, and then back up to 5, and then down to 2. I think we're at 2 or 3 right now. So that's another plumbers seem to be a little different of a beast kind of scenario.
That's got to be a tough job to find people that want to do that kind of work.
Yeah, I hear it's shitty work.
Yeah, right. I was just like, but they make. You can make really good money.
Yeah.
Really good money.
Yeah.
And I think, I know it's not exactly for everyone, but like the thing is like, look, you can make, I'm sure in the air conditioning business too, you can make really good money.
Yeah, absolutely. So the trade, right?
Yeah, the trade.
You can be as good as you want to be in the air conditioning business or the plumbing business, and it's not ever something, I don't ever look at things as selling anything to anybody. It's bringing things to people's attention. Hey, did you know that we have this product that fixes this problem? Let's talk about organic growth. Another word for it could be mold in people's air conditioning. I never used a mold. I'm not a mold remediator kind of scenario. Right. But, there is organic growth in air conditioners, and a UV light for your air conditioner is a great thing to have. They work, right? Yeah. And if you can just communicate with your customers, people want to know the option. Hey, how can I make this better? And when you don't give them the option, and then all of a sudden you've been maintaining the air conditioner for 3 years and say, hey, you got organic growth in your air handler. Well, you've been maintaining it for 3 years. How come you didn't tell me, right? But then you get other ones that that would say, well, you're trying to sell me something. I'm like, no, we're educating you to a product that we're telling you about it now. So if it becomes a problem or you want to handle it now, we talked about it. At least we can put that.
I think your guys put that in my house.
Probably, yeah.
So I think the last time, because when I did have my issue, because you guys maintain my stuff now too, and so it's like, all right. So I think the guy came out and he's like, he told us about that, so I think they put it in. Yeah,
when that product came out several years ago, they were charging like $1,200 for it. We're about $500 right now. It was.
I don't remember what the cost was. Yeah. He just said it made sense. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's a good thing to have, no doubt about it. But we just really like to educate you, bring it to your attention. If you want it, great. If you don't, okay, at least we had this conversation. We marked it in our file. We talked about it.
Right.
We'll probably talk about it again next year.
Like, did you know?
Just in case, right? But we just want to be, when it comes to maintaining an air conditioning system, like if you brought your car in and, one of your hoses was looking really bad, wouldn't you want somebody to tell you about it instead of being on 75 and the hose blows, right?
That's right. Well, it's always, that's the thing they tell you is maintaining, right, maintenance, keeping maintenance on it. Mm-hmm. Because like the air conditioning, just like anything, it's like, you always want to, even your cars, you want to keep them well maintained.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's a lot. It's a costly expense. It can be costly, but I think, in the long run, it pays off.
Yeah.
I think some people look at it from the expense of, well, I can't, that's a lot for me right now. So, it can be tough for them, and I can see that too.
And that's fine. That's completely fine. And but if we did a maintenance for you in, let's say, March, and we brought something to your attention, well, we're not going to see you for 6 months after March, right? So you're going to go through the summer. But if we find that problem, that capacitor that's a little weak for you, and we tell you about it in March, guess what? In July, it's not going to fail you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And because we addressed it.
It's super hot, and then all of a sudden you don't have air conditioning, and you're like, okay, it might be 2 or 3 days, and you're sitting there overnight. I remember when ours went out, and I'm sitting there in my house with no air conditioning, and I'm just sitting there with 3 fans on me, going, all right, what time are they going to be?
Exactly.
Because it is. It's like, it's not like, because I'm from up north. I'm from Baltimore.
Okay.
And so, even in the summers, you could get through the summers. It's a different animal.
It's miserable.
The humidity and just the heat. I'll get up and I walk my dog in the mornings, and it's about 5:15 in the morning. And it's already 78 degrees and feels like 84.
Sure.
And so
sure.
it's warm, you know, and you're just like, okay, I can't wait to get back so I can get back into my air conditioning.
So you can't even sleep without air conditioning. Like if you're laying in bed, you know, I mean, it's been years since I've had to lay in bed without air conditioning.
Oh, it was just bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sitting there sweating, and
Yeah.
it's like you're just like, it was just, it was not fun. It actually missed. Like, if it was been longer, I probably would have went to a hotel.
Yeah, I mean, my wife would have made me take her to a hotel. If that was the
We
case.
got through it one night, but I think if it was going to be more than that, I think my wife would have been the same. She'd be like, "Yeah, we're going to a hotel. I'm not
Yeah.
going through this again."
You got family in town or something.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
So, what's the best way to get a hold of you, or get a hold of your company if somebody wanted to reach out to you guys?
Veteranair.com is a great way to look us up and see, you know, what we do out there. Also, a direct number for us is 941-751-6180. We love talking to people, so that's a great way. We have info@veteranac.com. If you want to email us, we, you know, work that way as well.
Okay. I appreciate you coming out. I appreciate you telling us your story and everything.
It's always fun to share. Thank you so much for having me,
All right,
Chris.
thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
You can help support our podcast by checking out our Real Hustle gear. We have t-shirts, hoodies, tank tops, hats, and more. Let everyone know that you're a real hustler, willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done. You can check us out right now on realhustle.com. And right now, we are offering all of our listeners 10% off when you use the promo code PODCAST at checkout. Once again, that is PODCAST to receive 10% off your entire order.